What you're about to hear is part of the Podgods Network. If you have a problem with anything you hear, please write it in an email and go fuck yourself. Enjoy the show.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Salty Language presents The Enthusiast.
Hey enthusiasts, what's happening? This is The Enthusiast, episode 14. I am Brian. Joining me as always, Tony. Sorry.
Yes, it is.
And our super special guest this week, our pal Henno.
I was really hoping you were going to say Henry.
Way to step all over his intro, Tony.
Sorry, I had that one in the chamber.
Yeah.
Hey, you.
Yeah.
Hey, now.
Yes, our pal, hey, now. Oh, man. So, how you doing, sir?
I am stoked.
Excellent.
Yeah.
For those of you who... Well, if you've been listening to either of our shows or whatever, you should know who Henno is at this point. If not, he wrote the incredible, or did most of the whatnot work on the intro that we played on the 200th episode of our show. He's done, the intro for the other podcast I'm on, The Crazy Life. He's on, Angela's Awesome podcast. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You're part of Moving the Needle.
Yep.
Gotham Lights podcast.
Yep.
Neil's Dreams. No?
Only when I'm riding a bike. Only when I'm riding a bike.
Oh, man, talk about tandem.
Yeah.
I don't know, he might get upset the bike's cheating on him and stuff.
Maybe. Depends on how it's done. Did I miss anything? I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting there.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
All right.
Yeah, you've taken on the podcast world by storm lately.
Right.
I know, it's been crazy.
Yeah, because it's, doesn't seem like it was that long ago and you weren't on any podcast that I remember,
No.
and now you're on all the podcasts. You're on more podcasts than, you're rivaling Jason. What are you doing?
I was merely a fan before.
Right. And then you jumped in both feet and how you
Yep.
doing?
Stepped into the dojo.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And here I am now, the enthusiast.
Right.
The
right.
enthusiast.
This is truly a special treat.
Right, where we
Now-
the cream of the crop come in.
But yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm not ready.
Story of
Does
the
the-
podcast. Sorry.
Does the enthusiast get sound bites? There we go.
There you go.
Sorry.
All right.
So we do get sound bites.
Yes.
I'll be honest. I never know.
Well, we'll see how many I get because, I've got an old, outdated Nook that I really just need to throw in the garbage with my laptop. And to charge a Nook, you need its own special USB charger.
Yeah.
You can't just plug it into anyone.
Right.
And I have no idea where it is.
Oh no.
I'm like, it's not where I normally put it. This is bizarre. So maybe the cat was like, ooh, what's this? And attacked? I don't know.
Nice.
I have no idea.
Nice. Did you check next to the apple? Anyway,
No, I did not.
Exactly.
yeah, pre-show joke.
So we'll see
I
how
was
long
just-
we have sound effects.
Yeah,
Dang
until
it.
everything dies.
Listen,
I was just excited that to be on a show where it might actually be okay to use explicit content.
no, actually, on The Enthusiast, we
Are you
frown.
clean?
Yeah, we totally frown on that kind of naughty language.
We're on the up and up, sir.
Right. Now, unlike those heathens over at Salty Language, they're all for
I
it.
see.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, right.
This was the upper crust.
Right. There's crust, all right. I don't know if it's upper or lower or it's something.
I like your little edits you do on Angel's Awesome podcast for the Fat Funk Olympics and all that.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh.
That one I actually on the sound thing, it's got a censor button. So I'm doing all those live.
Live editing.
Nice.
Live,
Wow.
yeah.
That's even more impressive because you kind of have to anticipate, I would think, right?
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
speaking and then censoring and pulling back.
Right. I find myself doing that on the Crazy Life. Actually, I don't use any sort of a soundboard. I just try really hard. Like if I'm talking and I kind of pause before I say something, a lot of times I was going to cuss there. So because we're trying to keep that one fairly clean. So.
Yeah. So is that the liquor cabinet there behind you, Tony?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, he's not positioned how he normally is. Normally you get a grand view of it, but
I see.
Yeah, you're just getting a glimpse tonight, I guess.
I think is that would be a box of Patron?
Yeah, that's the coffee Patron too.
Coffee Patron, I see.
Yeah, it's pretty delicious.
And
actually,
as any classy bar will have, you see the red Solo cups up on top of the.
Well, I mean, we live in the country after all.
Right.
Hey, I just saw your better half.
Oh, she pop her face in real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, this is what I do now with my former supplies. I can't even open it.
Wait, we can't see. Well, I can't see you anyway.
We just have your avatar.
Yeah.
You just have my avatar? You don't have my cam?
No.
Negative.
No.
Oh, there we go. Ta-da. Oh, you got me now?
Yes. Now we got you.
Only if I accept it.
I see.
I didn't have to. It just
I
goes
am
through.
clothed. Don't worry.
Oh, there it is.
Oh well,
there.
Close it back.
Yeah. So it's my shaker is now a pen holder.
Oh, that's a
good
fantastic
repurposing.
use of a shaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of the stuff went bye-bye. I sent it to people like I used to collect wine corks and stuff like that, and
yeah,
baby.
That all got sent out to various people.
Right. Yeah.
Those little, those little glass for skewering olives in a martini.
Oh yeah.
The little glass ones. I had a whole collection of those, and I have this shoebox still full of various accoutrements.
Whoa.
Yes, paraphernalia. That's better.
I don't like your fancy talking.
I know. I might jazz this up too much. Quick, macho drop.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
Yeah.
So I was my buddy Brendan, who I really wanted to try to get on a podcast because Brendan and I go back, and he's also Neil and he were really good friends for a long time, and he actually goes back. He grew up where Neil grew up. That's how they knew each other. I mean, same little neighborhood. But my buddy Brendan and I were just diehard wrestling fans in the 80s. Nice. I mean, it was, so I love it. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it. I was going to tell him about all the macho drops because it's
it's Macho Man.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And we would have there was that there was the one big wrestling video game, the actual, when you went down to the arcade.
Oh yeah.
Style video game. I was trying to remember what that was. We would
Superstars?
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember it was, full throw them off the ropes, the whole thing.
Yeah.
We would just spend hours at the 7-Eleven playing that.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually probably where I played it the most, too, was at a 7-Eleven, actually. Right. And then Red Baron got it, and I used to dump all the monies into it because
exactly.
How could I not?
Here's all the coins I found rooting through couches and coats.
Right. And other people's pockets. Yeah.
So are you going to start your own podcast? Because you're kind of like producing or hopping on.
He's doing the best thing. He's doing the Apple model for podcasting. He takes a podcast that already exists. He jumps in and just makes a slight improvement, and then you move forward. That's all Apple does with pretty much everything they do,
Fair enough.
Yeah. Other stuff's out there. They just tweak it a little bit, and then people are like, ooh, and then they sell all of it.
And they're dancing in a commercial to music.
Right.
That's crazy.
Actually, I think Henno was going to do that later.
Yeah.
He's going to dance for all his podcasts.
Originally, I did want to, Neil was like, okay, start your own, do your own podcast. And so I was going to do it. And I talked about it when I was on with them. I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and we were going to do it on porno. We were just going to, what porno are we watching during the week? Right. And, it'd be the couple that shares, know, and
sure.
And then it just I made a big mistake where I was talking to Angela one day. We were working out, and she has this website. She's got this new this blog. She's got all this stuff, and I was like, wow, you should do a podcast. You already have all the hard work done. You got logos. You got all this stuff, and.
Yeah, seriously. At this
all the
point,
groundwork is there.
Yeah, because this part of it really is easy. The hardest part of podcasting is not actually doing the podcast. It's all the other garbage, the promotions and whatnot. So if you're already kind of promoting your wares anyway, why not do this as well?
Yeah, and all we had to do is get the feed to her computer gal or web designer, got
Right.
that all linked up, and boom, we're recording.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun. But it was later that I realized that starting a podcast with another woman when you'd already talked to your significant other,
Ooh.
bad move.
Ooh.
Yeah, that kind of cooled the jets real fast.
Yeah. I bet. It's be like, yeah, I tell you what, how about you do a podcast about porn? Because you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah, you're gonna be watching a lot, buddy.
I feel like there should be a sad trombone there.
Yeah, definitely.
Careful.
All right.
Careful, Tony.
Yeah.
There's going to be nothing for our other show.
Eh.
If I don't get a Macho Man drop, I'm going to be upset.
All we need for the other show is a Macho Man drop and Mystical.
That's true. That's true.
And maybe an air horn.
Well, damn you and that air horn.
I love the air horn.
Air horn's great, isn't it?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
It's just over the top.
Right.
That's why I love it.
Just no out of nowhere surprises like last week with the sad music and stuff.
That was so good.
It was, I know.
Seriously, that was a fluke, right? I will remember you.
No, he had that at the ready.
I had it from when we did the Doc Thirst thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I looked down and saw it, and I'm like, I gotta.
Yeah, it was a total.
It was so good.
It was such a spur of the moment thing, though. There was no, because most of the sound effect stuff, there's no planning. Every once in a while, I'll be like, hey.
Planning? What's that?
Yeah, well, every once in a while, I'll send Tony a message or something, and I'll be like, yo, I need you to get this sound drop or something from this because I'll have a story or something that I want to, Actually, I think that's how Macho Man started, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he had...
Because we were talking about him going into the Hall of Fame.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, hey, you should pull some Macho Man drops. And you're like, what one? I'm like, I don't know. Pull them all. Like, there's no such thing.
You're definitely missing the Ric Flair.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a Ric Flair.
Yeah.
That goes way,
Let me put that in my notes.
We'll get that straight out.
If not, I'll forget completely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So how has it been trying to juggle? Was it 4 shows now?
Yeah. So and then the moving the needle. I was just a guest once, and then they asked me to come on the show.
Well, yeah, because they have like everyone as a host for that show apparently, right?
And they have really good hosts.
Yeah.
Like the 2 women are serious. They're film majors and directors and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was a little intimidating. I was like, okay. Because my first introduction to them was when Neil was on, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Episode 0.
Episode 0? Or?
Yeah, no. Yeah. It is now.
Yeah.
They just have a hyphen.
It's
right.
honorary.
Yeah. Well, what he should do is if he can't be on the 0 episode, he should just make sure it's an episode like 10, 20, something like that, so it still has a 0 on it.
Yeah, as long as it got 0 in there.
Yeah.
That's a good move.
Yeah. And then in his head, they just cross out that other number or something,
You are now his agent.
Dang it. Fine.
But that one, yeah. That one I love because there's some homework involved usually. We're watching films or reading books. Like we're going to do a book to film on Tuesday. We're doing Jurassic Park.
Ooh, nice.
Oh.
The original from way back when.
Oh, at least you're not doing Lost World. Ugh.
Oh my! And I can't wait to bring that up because I actually read Lost World and then saw it, and it was like,
so
what did
different.
you do to this?
Way different.
I remember, because when I read the book, I'm like, man, this book's sweet. They're making a movie. This is going to be awesome. And then the movie came out, and I was like, this isn't what I read. Like, I think the opening scene, actually, like the very first scene is like a big twist or change from the book, if I'm not mistaken. And then it's just all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's moving the needle's been fun with that, and that one.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's like I get something to do because with Angela's, I'm pretty much just sidekick. It's her deal, it's her show, and I just interject myself everywhere.
Yes,
and randomly shoot things left and right.
Right
on that, yeah. And then the Gotham Lights came up completely from Gotham. That was actually more on lease. We were joking because every time that they just hated that TV show.
Oh, we understand.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. And I'm just like, why are you guys still doing this? We'll buy it off you.
Right.
And so there was a joke going that, that we'll buy it for, Ryan was like, yeah, I'll sell it to you for $10 or whatever, the RSS feed or something. And then I said, well, why don't we, we're going to start the spinoff, the first podcast spinoff, Gotham Lights.
Right.
And, so there was this whole Twitter thread going on about that. And then finally one day it was another day of joking about it. And I'm like, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I started like a little Twitter chat room on it. And it's like, let's do this. And I knew Annalise was just kind of kidding because they do their podcast. They do occasionally some other ones, but that's their deal.
Right.
They like what they do, and she podcasts because
they're not looking to do like a podcasting empire over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they're doing quite well as it is.
Right.
Yeah, and so that was, and then Stephanie was all up for it, and she's followed 7 Days a Geek, and she's followed going all the way back to Last Podcaster Standing.
Okay. Now, what is? Do you know her Twitter name? Because I know a lot of people by Twitter names, but I don't know their actual names. I'm sorry?
She's Bad Boy Wolf 87, I think it is.
Seems okay. Familiar, but not somebody that I really know. Okay, that's why I was just curious.
Yeah, and so she's goes back in that circle. She's been on their show, as a guest in various things, and she did their the 7 Days a Geek, 12 Days of Christmas singing thing. She did that, and but she'd never been on a podcast before, like this. So it was a great opportunity to do something kind of fun,
right?
And then we just thought it was hilarious. We do it our first episode on the last show of the season,
right?
And have not a whole lot to do.
And luckily for you, it had already been picked up for season 2, so at least it wasn't in limbo or something.
Right.
That's it.
Because nothing would be better than launching the podcast and then having them going, yeah, it's canceled.
It's canceled, yeah.
Well, I dare say then, Gotham Lights is your podcast.
Yes, that is truly, that's my podcast.
'Cause you're like, I'm doing this. Yeah. It's yours.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Now, I have to ask, because we've on Twitter different times, there's been, a here or there exchange between me, Tony, or you over this show. And I don't know, because I'll be straight out and honest. I haven't listened, because generally anything Gotham related, I try to stay away from. So, And do you love the show? Do you like the show? Like, where do you like? Because I'm not familiar with your stance entirely.
It's we like to joke about how we love the show, we're fans of the show, and all that stuff like that. I honestly like the show.
Okay.
What it really happened is I had no interest in even watching this show at all. And then, when I found out that some podcasters I liked were starting a podcast for it, I listened. And I got to hear them get all stoked about it. And I was like, all right, maybe I will watch this.
Oh, yeah, because all of us were super excited about it when it started.
Batman related.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I started watching it, and I was like, this is crap. like, what is going on here? I have no idea. There's like too many threads going on at one time, and just zipping back, and I believe, I was lost.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was my biggest complaint about the pilot episode, was they were trying to shoehorn too much into it. If I believe right. Does that seem right, Tony?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I blocked it all out, Brian.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot Tony has blocked all things Gotham out of his head now.
And they continued it. They just kept doing it.
Right.
But the thing, though, is I was watching it now more for the podcast.
Okay.
I was watching it because then when the podcast, I had something to listen to and I knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how people listen to companion podcasts about a TV show but don't watch the show. And I've heard various people make comments of this, and I'm like, I'd be like, listen, it's cool your friends are on the podcast. I get that, but it's like, I'd just be like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
I agree. That doesn't make sense.
I'm not going to lie. When I hear other podcasts and they talk about something, sometimes I'll listen because, be like, well, maybe this will be something I'm interested in, but if it's something I'm already like, no, like if I hear a geek podcast start talking about Doctor Who, Doctor Who never did anything for me. So I'm like, or Buffy or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out,
Yeah. But I got invested in the show through listening to the podcast, basically. And then after a while, I started to kind of see that there was actually a consistency to it.
Right.
it was really odd. And as time went by, I started making more of a case for why I'm enjoying the show.
Right.
Not so much of why it's good, because I'm not going to make that case. Because honestly, the critiques are dead on. And man, you want to read some scathing, just brutal critiques. The guy in Rolling Stone magazine, he skewers the show. I mean, and he does it like to a point where I actually couldn't watch TV by his standards.
Oh, yeah, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, if I watched every show with this guy's standards, nothing would be good. But I would, and especially when they had when Gotham Knights had the episode where I think it was just Neil and Nickel, and they were just ripping on it for like an hour and a half. And then for the last half hour, they're like, yeah, and we're going to bring Grant on.
And Grant almost from minute one was like people only like this because they're fanboying. And I was one of the few that, like, when he said that, I was like, he's totally right. A lot of times I don't agree with him on stuff like that, but I was like, he's 100% right. A lot of people are just wanting it to be good because they're Batman fans. And I was kind of that way. And then, but from minute one, I'm like I said, when Tony and I started talking, I was like, no, I was just like, you got to give it a chance. You got to give a show a few episodes to kind of get its feet or whatever. And I gave it, we gave it the whole season. And some shows turn around in the first season, some don't.
You gave it the whole season.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I watched all the episodes. Tony did not.
No, I bailed.
So
and so I actually then started to connect with the characters because I was actually kind of making some cases for why this was good. I started, and I got to that point where it's like, well, I'm either going to enjoy this or I'm not.
Yeah.
And I started finding reasons to enjoy it. And then you look at, it's like 6 million viewers. Okay, it's popular. It dropped. I think it ended with like 4 million viewers, direct viewers.
That's
and then
still a lot of people. Like, that's a good number for a show like that. I mean, it still is. Yeah.
So, we just did a couple days ago. We did rumors for season 2, and I looked at the potential bad guys that are coming up and this and that, and I think I would hope that some people will come back.
Yeah.
Because maybe it gets a little more streamlined.
Yeah. Now, I'll say this, and I think I said this about it before, was like with Arrow, I watched the first 10, 11 episodes of the first season of Arrow, and I was like, and I stopped. And I kept hearing, hey, it gets so good towards the end, and the second season's really good, and I was like, you know what, I'll go back. I'll at least watch the end of the first season or what. And when I did, it kind of hooked me then, and then the second season was really good, and then, but...
Then there's this season.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother podcast. But, so I could see where people might come back, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the same way. I watched the first, 11 episodes, and I was like, I hate this show a lot. But I understand why people would like it. I do get it. I just didn't like the writing style, the pace. There's a whole lot of things I didn't like, but whatever. But a lot of people are like, oh, you should come back. It gets so much better. I'm like, I just don't think I can. Yeah. I just don't want to.
I'm not going to try to convince anyone to watch Gotham.
Right.
I'm going to watch it, and I got to a point where every night it came on, I would watch it, and I'd laugh out loud at something that Bullock did, or it was fun. And then when I'd go on, and like I said, once again, it was tied to that podcast. So then we listened to the podcast, and that's where I think Stephanie and I were when they finally announced that they were calling it quits. They were going to stop doing this podcast.
Yeah,
and we're just like. And people were disappointed. And it was like, okay, well, people within our Twitter circle were disappointed with it. And it's like, okay, we're not the same characters, because a lot of people just listen to them because it's those 4 dudes.
Yeah.
We're like, let's just do this. And it's, I don't care who listens to it, really.
Right.
But it was interesting because then when I got onto Twitter and I started I just did a search on #Gotham.
Yeah.
And I start finding normal people that love the show. And for me, I have no Batman comic connection other than back to my childhood, real early childhood.
Which really, I would think, helps with it being a Batmanish, not a Batman show, but with Batman characters. That helps because a lot of us, I can't remember if it was Nickel or Neil that brought that up, that with the expectations that a lot of us have, that it almost can't be good. It almost can't be good enough, basically, because our expectations are just too high.
And Nickel brought, he's the one that brought up the point that this is the one kind of period in Batman lore, this time frame, that has not been covered before.
Right.
And so you're going into something where you can be original, but you have to live up to people's expectations.
Yeah. Even though this, and like with me, it's like even though that time frame hasn't really been covered much, the future exists in it.
Exactly.
And that's where my issues become, because when you're introducing characters that might be the Joker or whatever this soon, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
easy.
Like I can live with a lot of it, but there's certain things where I'm like, to me and a lot of people, there's no Joker without Batman. And I don't mean Bruce Wayne, but Batman, actually.
Batman, yeah.
Because, there's a lot of theories over basically almost like, are they one and the same kind of a thing? Do they, is the Joker just an imagination of Batman's kind of a deal, So, and that kind of just dumps all over if he, existed, as some weird kid in a carnival or something. I don't know.
There's a separate Batman pocket universe, see.
Well, it is. And I said that at one point on our show. I was like, I think the only way that for someone like me that I could watch the show and be like, all right, this is a good show, is similar to watching Smallville or something, to where it's totally different from the book lore. You just have to, like DC used to have those Elseworld stories that happened in pocket universes that were totally not part of normal continuity. If I looked at it that way, it'd be a lot easier to digest. And after I started looking at it that way, I still had a lot of issues with the show, but it was... Honestly, most of my issues were Fish Mooney. But
Hey, not lining up on to do that fan meet and greet.
Right.
Well, actually, I heard that her and her significant other have an open relationship, so I might.
Right.
A little ass squeeze wouldn't be out of the question.
You got to be careful, because she'll just, talk you into doing things, like she did on the show, and you won't even know what's going on, apparently, and you'll just be giving her all your things or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's how it works. Yeah.
Although, Eskimo Bros of Will Smith.
Right?
Hey,
No. See, in my head, I'd never even say it that way. I'd be Eskimo Bros with the Fresh Prince. and as long as him and I can do the slap thing every time, for me.
That's true, because then you're like 2 degrees away from Uncle Phil.
Well,
R.I.P.
Well, I kind of am, because of being obese and sedentary lifestyle. That's a terrible dead joke, because Uncle Phil's dead.
Yeah,
now you know Doug's going to do something with that.
That's fine. I'll tell you, if he wants to do something with that, the best thing is there's a gif of Uncle Phil dancing in the living room. If he puts my head on that, then
that would be awesome.
Right?
Sounds like gold.
Yeah, I've said before that if Doug needs it, I'll pose however my head however he needs it for the picture, because I'm
so he
game.
Can draw you like one of his French girls.
If he wants to, that's fine. Yeah. Maybe him and I will have an art swap or something.
Maybe
we'll be artistic Eskimo brothers.
One thing that you guys mentioned is that idea of listening to a podcast for a TV show you don't watch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I face that when I love listening to Salty Language. I love listening to Graphic Novice. I'm listening to Snake Oil Comics now. I don't read comics.
Right. Well, on the upside, Tony's been a son of a bitch the last few weeks. And
I also lately have been reading comics.
I mean, I have actually picked. I mean, my first comics were from my cousin. So this would be early 70s.
Okay.
And so my cousin my cousin's quite I don't know, she might be almost 10 years older than I am. So she'd sent me and my sister all of her old comics. And so we're talking Archie's, Richie Rich, probably like Scrooge McDuck.
Right.
Mostly.
Sure.
Strong. And then, yeah. And then mixed in there was like a Thor. And it was weird. It was like a Thor number 3 or number 4 of that, whatever that run was. And then one Batman. And it was the first time I'd ever seen a dark Batman. And it messed with me.
Right.
Because up till that point, it was 66.
Yep.
And I dressed up as Batman. We used to, because I was into Justice League and all that stuff.
Right.
And I actually looked it up. It's called... I looked it up, and it's an early 70s Batman. It's called something like Wail of the Corpse Bride or something like that. I remember there was a bride in it.
Wow, that's a pretty dark title for a Batman book for that time especially.
Yeah, it was really, and so I read that, and it made no sense to me,
Right,
and I
yeah.
loved Thor, and I think there was a Captain America, and what's weird is I was super into red, white, and blue, not patriotic, but like my whole room was painted that, and so Captain America just fit right in to that. I love Captain America. He's still one of my favorite superheroes.
Here's another one for Doug then, Henno America.
But now you guys talk about the comics, and I've been listening long enough to you guys and Graphic Novice, and so I actually kind of know what the stories, what's going on.
Right.
I mean, I know everything, but I did pick up Sex Criminals, and I've enjoyed that.
Nice.
And I picked up that what is it? Why the Last Man?
Oh, that's good stuff. Yep.
Yeah, and I haven't started on that. I picked up one of the trades.
You absolutely can't go wrong with much that's written by Brian K. Vaughan. He's just a solid writer. There's a book he did called was it Pride of Baghdad or something like that? It's Pride. It's got Pride in the title. I can't remember what it is. It's about basically like what would happen to animals in like Iraq after like almost like a carpet bombing kind of a thing. Like in the basically in the zoo, and these animals are kind of like they all have like they talk to each other and everything, but it's them trying to get away from a zoo environment to like freedom essentially. It's a really good book.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's like Pride of Baghdad or Pride of. I can't remember. I know it has Pride in it, but I can't remember the rest.
I think you have the internet right in front of you.
I do. All that
I
work.
could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right. I'll rely on my internet. I was like, why aren't you looking it up? That's normally what you do.
Yeah, I think if I hit my keyboard 2 or 3 times, my laptop just bursts into flames. So
Don't touch it.
yeah, really.
Like Brian K. Vaughan, he also wrote Saga or writes Saga, I should say, which is,
So listening to all these comic book podcasts have you been getting the itch to pick up more stuff, or you just kind of just enjoy hearing what we say about the book?
Yeah, I more do because I even though like reading Sex Criminals was fun and everything, I'm just a book reader now.
Right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And that might change. The Why the Last Man will be my first trade.
Yeah.
So that might
Trades
change
are-
things.
I like trades.
And it's interesting because a lot of books, when you read them in trade form, you get to devour a whole arc or a storyline in one setting. And that is something that there's a lot of books, especially ones that aren't superhero books. And we've talked on the show about on Salty Language about this quite a few times, about how I really think a lot of writers are writing that way, and unfortunately the books are being delivered in single issues, and sometimes that leads to people going, this is really not that good. But when you
read it in a chunk,
it's really good because now everything it's consistent and it just rolls through,
Like what was that Grant Morrison book? We just Annihilator. That in a chunk would be good.
Single issues of that, it's weird. It's kind of awkward. I went back and reread it once it was done, like all the issues, like back to back to back, and I was like, this works much better. And that art that by Fraser Irving,
phenomenal,
so good.
Yeah.
Pride of Baghdad is the book I was talking about.
Pride of Baghdad.
Yep.
I want to go back and find the trade for that Thor that I had. Because I never did find out what happened with the story.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, I had one.
That'd be good to wrap up.
Right. And you didn't even have, like, the first or last issue. You just had something in the middle there, yeah.
Like number 3 or number 4. I remember looking it up, too, to see if it was valuable at all years later.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was a one-off illustrator that everybody hated.
Oh.
One of those.
So many of those fill-in stories, yeah.
And that baffled me. I was like, why would you have somebody just in the middle of, you're already doing... But it sounds like it happens all the time.
It does. It happens a lot now, too. Marvel and DC do it a lot of times so that they can get books out on time. With Image, a lot of times you'll see a book just come out late, which
just be delayed,
which is bad news. Because you never want books to come out. It's one thing if it's a month late or a few weeks late, but when you start pushing, there's so much out there to buy. That the longer between issues you make it, people forget because there's so much other stuff to consume. But yeah, that happens a whole bunch. It's awful. Actually, they just talked about that, I believe, on Graphic Novice, their last issue or episode. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I make that comment at different times, like when I'm doing like the little blog thing. Is there'll be a different artist and be like, oh, I hated the art, or it doesn't fit the book.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. So
now
as a book. Oh, go ahead. I know.
I was just going to say that I can relate to the podcast now, especially like when you guys talk to either a comic book artist or and Snake Oil does it more, where they're interviewing people. I enjoy those shows because I can relate to the artist part of it.
Yeah.
It's the same struggles.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Whether you're a musician, whatever it is.
Right.
So I can enjoy the shows without even knowing it. And then like every once in a while it might pique my interest a little bit and I'll go check it out.
Yeah. That's what it is kind of cool, when I listen to stuff they have musicians or something on, and I am like fascinated with musicians essentially because I currently have no music inclination whatsoever. Like I can't play anything, I can't sing, but I always wanted to, kind of a thing. So, and it was funny because I remember, like in high school and stuff, I'd be sitting there drawing stuff and people were like, oh, I wish I could draw. And I'm seeing them going, they got a guitar on their back and I'm like, I would trade you in a second. Artists don't get chicks until college, No, but,
Hey, no, musicians don't get the chicks until they hit a stage somewhere. So.
Yeah, right.
Or a campfire.
Campfire. You know what? That's a good point. Because there's usually a lot of liquor involved, too.
Right,
campfire,
nothing gets
acoustic guitar.
Nothing gets the ladies going like a rousing, bit of kumbaya.
Round of kumbaya.
Yeah.
Well, my whole family is art talented, except for me. Like my dad does sketches. He started sketching. He does photography. Well, it started in Korea. When he got to Korea, he didn't have a camera, so he started sketching. And he just basically uses pencil, black and brown ink, and that's it, because that's what he had.
Yeah.
And he's continued doing that ever since. And he's now put all those sketches from Korea in a book, and he actually hand wrote all the the notes on the side.
Oh, wow.
And he went on to become an architect. And then the other thing he got into is he takes his sketches and he gets balsa wood, and he will make the sketch, with little pieces of balsa wood, and so it's got this dimension to it.
Oh, wow.
And he'd do wood carving, that kind of stuff. My mother does oil paint, and phenomenal. The funny thing is she doesn't want to take credit for it because she typically copies a photograph. So my dad will have a photograph, and she'll paint the photograph. It's like I'd put it up. Well, I have stuff on my walls here. It's fantastic. And she did one for me custom, and I actually had to tell her, now put your freaking name on it.
Right.
Because she's like, oh, I'm just copying, and I'm like,
it's like, well, really, that's all art is. You're copying something, whether you take
Right.
the photo or someone else does. I mean,
Yeah.
or if you're painting from life. I mean,
what difference does it make?
Yeah. I mean, unless you're selling stuff, then now you can have some copyright issues get in the way or something. Unless you, as we learned on Salty Language, you take a picture of the picture,
Exactly.
then
Now
do
you're-
derivative
Yeah,
work.
fair game.
I douchebag.
Oh, do you know that drives me so nuts
And
because
he's been doing it for years,
Yeah.
decades.
and he says that it's like a commentary thing, and I'm like, then don't take the money, or if you sell it, take that money and give it all away. Don't keep a cent of it. Otherwise, no, you're just being a dirtbag.
Exactly.
I mean, because
Scum.
there's so many people. I'm on a website of artists called DeviantArt, and constantly the photographers on there, they have to watermark their stuff.
Everything,
and, because if they don't, artists will draw from it, or other people will use it for their own or whatever. And at first I was like, what's the big deal if someone and then I was like, well, I guess, it does make sense. I understand. No one wants their stuff taken and used without at least permission, let alone, and if you're making money on it, it's like, does it hurt you to buy a license or chip a little off that? No, so I get it. And it's like, man, but hearing that, I'm like, why couldn't I do that then as an artist? Like, I could go and start drawing and painting stuff. I can take any picture I want, basically take a picture of it. Now it's my artwork that I'm deriving my drawing from. That's stupid. That's beyond stupid,
And that's why I will. There was a show that I did last year with. So I have the band. I was in the band called Cake Face Jane. And our leads, yes, I've carried that name around for almost over a decade, waiting for the right opportunity.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to tell us a story where, like, you and and other people were Cake Face Jane, then they all left, and you just it's like Billy Corgan with the Smashing Pumpkins.
Exactly. No, this one I held on to this name because it was so awesome, there was a mutual friend of the person. I didn't come up with the name; somebody else did.
Sounds like a good beer name too, by the way.
Yeah, actually, it's true. Yeah, and she. I asked Margot at one point. I was like, okay, they had a band called Who's Anthony, which is literally from Wayne's World.
Okay.
Going, Who's Anthony? Who's Anthony? Who's Anthony?
Nice.
I was like, okay. So they changed their name to the Tender Morsels.
Whoa.
And I was like, all right, if you're not going to use Cake Face Jane,
Yeah.
I'm
going
taking
to.
it.
How
Right.
dare you?
Yeah, I was like, Tender Morsels, Cake Face Jane.
Tender
So
So
I
I
want to make a Cake Face Jane cover band and call it the Cake Face Jane Experience.
and so our singer Danae got pregnant and had with twins, and it's like, okay, go have a family, and so the band is
out.
no more.
Well, yeah,
and
I
I'm
mean,
like,
we found that out when we had Jonathan Diener of the Swellers on, because he's in a band now called Braided Veins,
Yeah.
and he was like, yeah, but we're probably not going to do much touring, which for Tony and I is not a huge deal because they're from, like, Flint, Michigan. It's just a couple hours north. We could go see them. But I was like, oh, that's a shame because we really dig their stuff, and he was like, well, there's a bunch of, like, 30 and 40-year-old guys that all have families, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah, it's not really a touring-friendly band, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was, it's like no big deal. It's like, hey, go have a family,
Right.
love you. Just, I'll finish this album, I'm finishing mixing this album and we'll release the album for ourselves, and in the meantime, I've taken my sweet ass time with that. But we decided
It's a legacy project.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Dre with his new album, it's like someday.
Seriously, I have this little sign up here that says "Finished is better than perfect."
You know what? I'll tell you this. Anybody who's a creative person, artist, musician, will totally go, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've all done that.
Yep, yep.
But what I'll do is since it's all in the computer, I'll open it up and I'll see the dates. Like when the last time I opened the file, I'm like, oh man.
Right.
But last year I wasn't ready to quit gigging, so the harmonica player, his name's Aquila. And so we were, it was great. It's Aquila, Henno, and Danae.
Okay.
That was like three people with weird names.
I have a quick question for you. Does anyone call him Aquila the Hun?
No, but I will start using that.
Anyway.
The funniest part is I was in California one time and up in Sebastopol, and a friend of mine's got a little farm. And so she's named all of her chickens after constellations, and so Aquila is a constellation. And so there was a rooster named Aquila. I was like, taking pictures of that shit and sending it to him.
Well, you have to.
Well, yeah, because he's not walking in, or you said he, right? Or she?
Yeah.
Okay, they're not
You never
walking
know.
into Disneyland or something looking for the nameplates for the bikes or whatever. You're not finding Aquila, probably.
Well, that's it. Totally.
Yeah.
Henno,
Yeah,
like,
right?
Come on.
Hell,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up not being able to find Brian with a
That's
Y.
true.
Now,
Yeah.
now it's no problem. But when
I
I
had no
was
trouble,
little,
guys.
Yeah.
no, 'cause, well, piece of shit's not on a lot of stuff, but. Or I mean, hey.
Feeling the love.
And so we're like, well, let's keep doing it. What are we going to call it? We're not going to do Cake Face Jam. We'll just go back to playing acoustic. And we play covers mostly and some originals. And so I was like, well, somehow I came up with, it was a joke, it was AK and the 4.7s.
Nice.
And so, the whole gun reference. And so Aquila is Aquila Cascino. And his last name's with a K. So I'm like, there's AK. But the best part of it is just the two of us.
That's
So,
fun.
like when
Yeah.
you have the and the blah, blah,
Right,
blahs,
right.
so here's Aquila and me,
I'm the 47s.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Exactly. So, we're just out there playing and we did a gig and there was great photographs taken of it that the venue hired this photographer. And when I saw the pictures, I was like, oh, I want to use those. But I went out of my way to contact the photographer. So notice how I'm bringing this back
Oh
around.
yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
Full circle.
Right. This is what professionals do. Yeah. I was
because-
going to do that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And she actually seemed a little shocked. I was like, we'd like to, I'd like to pay you for the
Oh,
photographs.
right. Because I bet a lot of times bands probably just assume that they have some rights to them,
Yeah, because and I'd
even though
here's
you
the other-
don't. But yeah,
Like, whoa, that's me.
Yeah, and And I'd seen it. I'd seen the so she had sent the photographs to the venue, and so the venue manager had allowed me to look at them in the Dropbox folder. So there's no watermarks or anything on them.
Right.
I could have grabbed one.
Right.
But I was like, I'm trying to make up for all my years of Napster. Of
Right.
Just,
Right.
I downloaded so much
and most
stuff.
of the venues probably wouldn't care because, they probably might be like, hey, just make sure you mention that it was here or something to that effect, and
Yeah.
so that you can, they get a little press out of it or something too,
Yeah. But the artists, that's why, Quill's a computer tech guy, and he's dialed in with
Star-Lord, right?
Everything.
Sorry, I have to...
The dark net, whatever.
Whoa.
And so,
Whoa.
and so he's got movies. Just tons of he's got the first release stuff before it's even out, kind of torrent, whatever. I mean, it was filmed by somebody in Japan, but
right.
But he'll be like, do you want it? And I just say no, because I just feel I need to pay for this. How can I, as an artist, ever reasonably expect someone to pay me for my work if I'm not willing to do it for somebody else?
Yeah,
So,
that whole Napster Metallica thing really tore at me at the time, and I was one of the few people that I think was kind of standing with Metallica a little bit. They were like, oh, they're so rich, and I'm like, yeah, but they're still right. It's like you're just straight out stealing their work, and yeah, they are rich. And really, you're hurting the record companies more than you're hurting the band at that point. But it's like, it's still wrong, Not that it stopped at, anybody. But as Game of Thrones keeps getting millions and millions of illegal downloads a week.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I love listening to musings of a Shy, because Alicia's always skirting that line between, she doesn't want the federal. She doesn't like the intrusion of the federal government into all these things. But on the other hand, it's like, but now you're having to defend people that are distributing other people's content.
Yeah.
And so I have really fun back and forth with her on Twitter on it. And I'd love to have a conversation with her someday, maybe on it. Because
I have a great idea. What you should do is start another podcast where you have conversations with people. I hear it does well.
It's a great name, too. Conversations with People.
Right. Or how about something like Stronger Conversations? By the way, I know Grant's not listening, but if he is, I'm just poking fun at him whenever I make these references. I like his show. I'm not tearing him down. Just busting balls.
Busting chops.
Yeah.
That's what we do in the Mitten State. We bust chops.
We bust chops.
So I did, I'm really honestly stoked to finally have a conversation with you guys, because it's I was like, fucking shitballs, yeah! It's weird at that moment of nervousness of that. Like, okay, I've been chatting with this lady for a while and texting, and now I get to see face to face, and okay.
Let the disappointment begin. But maybe my dating experience is different than yours. Yeah.
So this goes back to seriously to AOL. I mean, when all there was AOL.
Oh, I remember.
AOL chat, and so it was my first dating experience. Was whatever they called it, and I just remember driving. It was probably an hour and a half drive up to Sacramento, and I just remember knocking on the door, and you open the door, and it's like, who are you?
Right. Because I'm sure it was much easier to, for lack of a better term, catfish someone in those days.
Yeah.
Because now people are on so many different social medias and stuff that, it's a lot harder to keep things like secret and private. Plus, I mean, hell, if you have someone's phone number, you can look it up and find and it's a whole different ballgame than it was then. Unless, you had friends with the dark magic at their disposal as you do.
Dark magic.
I don't know, whatever.
But I actually looked up how much it would cost to fly over to Michigan, because I have two friends. I have one of my oldest friends I played music with. I go back to teenager with him, and he's in. I remember this one day I get this phone call, and I look at my the caller ID, and it says Paw Paw, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, the hell is pawpaw?
Yeah, that's
I
why.
assume there's a cider mill there.
Listen,
I don't know.
And I don't know. That's why I constantly refer to Michigan as the South of the North, because it has cities like Paw Paw, which sounds like a place you'd be like driving through and hearing banjos playing. And
Exactly. Like,
you
what
might.
backwater is this?
Yep.
Legend says a little boy was looking for his father in this field.
His Paw Paw.
That's where the town began.
Yeah, that's.
And then I have another friend that's somewhere around Detroit. I know he works over at the airport there, and so I've been talking for a while about flying out there and stuff. And I was like, sweet, and then I can go salty language.
Right? Yeah, we're not that far from there. Yeah, less than
No, it's
about
really
an hour.
not,
Yeah.
But Paw, the best is when I finally.
That one I don't know about. I'd be afraid of going there.
So here's the best part. He's living in a trailer park.
There's nothing. Where do you live? In a trailer in Paw Paw? I'm like, no, really.
Like, so he was in Hawaii living with his dad, a victim of the economy, just no job, lost everything, in Hawaii living with his dad. It found his one chance to get off the island, which I'm like, why? But you end up in a trailer park in Paw Paw.
Wow. That seems like a really, that's one extreme to the other almost from the sound of it. I haven't been to Paw Paw. It might be a tremendous place. I have no idea.
Who knows? I don't know.
But, it just sounds like the opposite end of Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah. It's outside of Kalamazoo.
Yeah. Listen, don't knock the Kalamazoo folk.
Oh, I'm not.
I have no reason to promote them either.
Well, anytime we start having we've always been like brothers. We've had honest knockdown, drag out fights kind of thing, and then 20 minutes later, sorry, that kind of stuff. I mean, we really, and we can both be really headstrong and just brawl. And now I just go, dude, you live in a trailer park in Paw Paw, Michigan. It's like
he's like
ends.
He's like, how many times are you going to bring that up? Like, do you still live there?
Oh, now I know why Paw Paw sounds familiar. Paw Paw Brewing Company.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Well, of course, it's in Michigan. Like, every city has a brewing thing up here
It's
now.
true.
I saw a map yesterday on Facebook with all the breweries on it in the state, and it's like, there's probably more breweries than states or cities in this state. The way it's going,
it's getting pretty
so
insane.
many. Yeah.
That whole state is interesting. So my mother grew up in Detroit.
Oh, nice.
and that was she actually went to and it all made sense to me. So my mother actually left Michigan for health reasons. And now I understand why after you guys said fuck Cottonwood.
Right?
Yes.
Oh,
because I'm allergic to everything.
Yeah, I have pretty bad allergies and this stuff too. And man, this time of year, I went out last night just to grab some, quick eats and came back. And just in the time I left the air conditioning and came back, I was just miserable.
Yeah.
It was like 10 minutes. I'm like, this outside thing is way overrated. I'm done with this.
Yeah. I just don't like it because it sticks to me.
Yeah. That
it's
too.
it's everywhere.
Oh,
It
it's so
looks
bad
like
now,
freshly
too.
dusted snow in my
It
yard
is.
right now.
Yeah, this morning was the first day we had a full, a blow, and at first I was like, oh, it must have gotten cold last night. Oh no, it's the fucking Cottonwood.
Yeah.
Right?
And it gets at my work, it's in all the vents, it gets in everything.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So do you guys so where do you have cottonwoods? Do you have like a river nearby, or
I don't even know
It's
where.
just everywhere.
It's just
it's
everywhere.
just a
here.
tree you guys have? Okay.
Yeah, it's just a tree everywhere.
Yeah. It was worse. I think it was worse when I lived, like where we lived in Ohio compared to where I live now. It was worse in Ohio, but it's still bad here.
Yeah, and I mean it's bad. So, driving around certain spots of the city are way worse.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere. Though.
There's some parts of the city where you almost have to put your windows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, ours is mostly down by the river. The cottonwoods are all down by the river.
Right.
Down by the river.
Nice. Yeah, I got one in my yard, so I mean, I have like snow basically. Yeah. I can't wait to go mowing tomorrow. It's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a
I'm going
blast.
to walk in looking like Santa Claus.
I was just going to say you're going to look like Santa's barber or something afterward. Just
for sure.
Santa's
suck.
manscaper.
Oh, that's the worst job.
Did you say
You're a bit
Santa's
of bad.
manscaper?
Yes.
Well, you can't see under that gut.
I know.
He's got to get an elf down there.
Well, his third beard or whatever. I can't remember.
Exactly, the third beard.
Yeah. It's.
I tried to work that in the songs. I had to make some choices.
Yeah, that's fine.
I had a list. That's where Neil and Doug came in handy. They were throwing out phrases and lines to me.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, there's so many juicy ones in there. I'm like, how can I?
I love this stuff. Like, I actually wrote down, I have it on a Post-it here because I loved it so much, the don't be a savage, be an enthusiast, because it just, although, we do advocate being both.
Being savages, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's a time and place.
There's just different levels of savage,
Exactly.
Some are acceptable, some are not,
Yeah. There's Savage.
Well, there's Fred Savage, and I'm kidding.
Yeah.
There's Fred Savage and Little Monsters, and then there's
Hey, don't knock Little Monsters.
I'll knock Little Monsters. Didn't they have Howie Mandel in it too?
It did have Howie Mandel in it.
How do I just bang and have that? Most of the time we're talking comics or something, and I'm like, duh. Oh man. It's amazing how the mind works sometimes, or it doesn't work sometimes. I know.
So this is how you guys spend your Friday nights, huh?
No. Yeah. A lot of times,
basically.
Yeah. So, are you done gigging now, or do you still do occasional stuffs, or?
Yeah, we're gonna do like maybe 3 this year. It's like, here's the greatest thing is over the winter we were gonna keep playing over the winter because in the ski resorts they'll have live music, and some of the bars and stuff in town will have live music, and I'm like, I got to get this album done, and then I didn't do crap on it, and then springtime rolled around. I really can't because I can't do both. I got to be in one mindset or the other. I'm either in studio guy, get this done, or play live,
okay.
and so. I said that I was, and I still haven't done anything, but I finally just said, I do like the little bit of extra money that comes in, and so we'll do like 3 gigs this year and this summer, and that's that. But long term, the main thing is get this thing done because I want to actually put together a full band and have something that I can just count on for the next, 10 years of old age or, something
right,
like that.
Right.
I just want, just have something. Just say, okay, this is what I do. Although with the podcasting now, I don't know if I'm going to have time.
Yeah, right.
You'll be podcasting off your phone.
Right.
Well, that's
you really could though. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I actually talked about this because I just got a digital mixer, and so everything. So it has a USB output, and you can go straight to a drive. You can record.
Yeah.
You can record everything now. It's fantastic. And I was like, well, why don't we do a Mixler?
Yeah.
Just the whole rehearsal.
You really could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and come up with a podcast that's called the whatever we're called, AK and the 47s podcast.
Honestly, you really could because you could go through. I mean, there's how many band documentaries are there showing the process of making an album?
Oh yeah,
I mean that's essentially you'd almost be doing the same kind of thing except a podcast, which would be really cool. It's kind of fun to listen to because it's pulling back a curtain. It's I have an idea for a podcast that I'm not going to go into on the air because I don't want anyone to steal it. But it's kind of a behind the curtains kind of deal too. And that was kind of like in my head. It's like that's why I can't quite get rid of the ideas. I was like, because I really think a lot of people love kind of just the process.
Well, it's the voyeuristic part where so you're sitting in on our rehearsal,
right?
And how we because what we do now is most of the songs I write. There's bass and drums and all that stuff. So I usually I don't do that too often. We're just doing the acoustic stuff. We'll just play I literally play we're pretty much doing the entire Blues Brothers album. Because it's simple. People love it. They stomp their feet to it. It's basic blues.
Yeah.
And it's just me and Aquila on harp and singing, and we have a drummer, and we'll just play. But what we do is we like to take a cover and then tweak it. So, recently we were working on we did the Johnny Cash version of Rusty Cage.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And it was a lot of fun. Well, in the middle of it, I kind of changed some of the way the guitar works, and I was like, "This is Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin." Okay, let's throw that in the middle of this.
Nice.
So we have one song that's 6 songs in one.
Oh,
it runs like 13 minutes. And it's the Bo Diddley beat. It's that dant 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 dant.
Oh, right. Yep.
Right.
So it starts with me and Julio, You could we throw Desire in there. U2. It goes into Not Fade. And we end it with Faith. And in the middle of there, you throw in some George Thorogood. I mean, there's just like, how many songs have that beat?
Now, hold on. By Faith, are you meaning the George Michael one? Or
Yes.
You mean, okay. I'm just making. I was just making sure you weren't like going more.
Faith Evans.
No, no. I mean, like, it was like we can't deny Limp Bizkit covered Faith. So I'm just, making sure. Yeah.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, but I get these weird things
because I just don't see you going through a big screaming fit at the end of the song. You know,
just bring it home.
Yeah.
New. Yes, no. I'm going
kinda
for
weird.
the more jeans and a Wurlitzer or whatever it is in the background.
Right.
But where I was when I called you guys, said this is the stuff that goes through my head when I'm driving to work. Like I was one day driving to work and we have one song where it's another medley. We mix a bunch of songs together, and in the middle of it, Aquila does the rap from Blues Traveler Hook. You know, the suck it in, ramble. So he does that whole thing. Well, it hit me on the way to work. I'm like, I can sing Wrecking Ball over that.
Wow, that is.
And so he's doing the rap, and I start singing, and you hit me like a wrecking ball, and like everyone dies laughing. I mean, first the audience is like, what's going on here?
Well,
and
does not compute.
Right.
Yeah,
well, it's
somebody's coming up to the tip jar and throwing $5, $20 in.
Well, it's like I remember a while ago I got. Have you ever heard any of the punk covers pop stuff?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard that stuff, Tony?
I love that stuff.
No. Well, maybe.
Dude.
I don't know.
There's a bunch of it.
You've told me about
it's
it
a bunch of like punk bands. Like there's like 3 or 4 I think CDs of it or albums that have been released. And each song is a different group, but they're covering a really popular pop song.
Right.
And there's some really good redos of songs that you never want to admit that you like in your life on there.
And now you're listening to it all the time.
Yeah. There's some great stuff in there. So I have always dug stuff like where you really kind of twist the song around. You know, it was even doing stuff like, you know, Johnny Cash when he did his, I forgot the name of those albums, the last ones he did.
American Recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the songs on there, just slowing them way down and taking the tempo down, just made them into their own like amazing songs. You know, I mean, Trent Reznor has straight out openly admitted that "Hurt" is better by Johnny Cash. You know, he's like he killed the song in the best way possible. You know, so I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I loved it, and that's where because I at one point I had a band I actually toured, which was that was the one thing my little. Bucket list thing is I went across the country for 6 weeks in a rock and roll band. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Loved it. And our band went back home. We got passed up by the labels, and it was like, go home and retool. And our bass player started playing in a cover band. And that band still exists today. It's literally 20 years this year. Almost. It's 19-something years. And they're an extremely successful cover band, but I swore I would never, ever play in a cover band.
Right.
Because the cover band kind of was like it.
Yeah, it's well when you go to a place and you hear you're like, oh, they have music tonight, and you just be like, and then you'll see on the sign it'll be like a cover band or something, and you'll be like, okay, and you hear a lot of bands that are really good cover bands, but I've heard them like they'll throw in like an original song, and a lot of times you're like, ooh, now I know why they're a cover band. You know? Yeah, it's.
But when I started to find out that you could be creative with covers. And then people love that. Like we did a version of the Beatles' The Walrus. So there's no guitar in that song. It's all instruments and orchestra.
Right.
And so we came up with a version that has guitar in it, and it's a ton of fun to play, and people dig it. I mean, they love it because they've never heard it like that before.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. There was a guy I went to high school with. Actually, he graduated the same year as I did, and he was part of a band here, and I think he moved out to California at some point. With another guy, and it was like a 2 or 3 piece group. Like the other guy did like they worked together on the songs, but they basically did a lot of cover stuff. But they changed how they were changed the arrangements on them a little bit, and a lot of times would take like rock songs and turn them into rap songs or that kind of a thing, or they would actually just put a good rap segment into the song to where it felt like an overall. And some of their stuff that they did was really good. And I saw them live a few times, and I'm like, man, it feels like you guys are wasting your talent here. It's like feels like you need to be somewhere where you might get noticed. No one's, you know, you don't hear of a lot of acts out of Toledo, Ohio. You know what I mean? So it's like
wait.
Exactly. Crystal Bowersox, if you want to pretend she's from Toledo and not from the outskirts.
Right.
I can't name another big-time act from Toledo. I may be overlooking someone, but I don't think I am.
I'm trying to remember that metal band that had mild success.
Lollipop Luskill?
Yes, Lollipop Luskill.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
It is.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
I have Candy Canes and Razor Blades
right, but they were in that
album.
They were part of that like new metal kind of movement, though, weren't they? Yeah. So
that's interesting because so we did when we were touring. We had some gigs booked already, and unfortunately, we were like a power pop band. Like our band was called Suck, and. It's great when you're a band called Suck and you're from San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh,
yeah, they love you. They love you for that one.
Oh,
Though the best part was at the end of the tour, we had an opportunity to extend it and play with a band called Sweaty Nipples.
That would look awesome on a marquee.
Awesome billing, yeah, awesome.
I'll tell you, as someone who took graphic design stuff, I'd love to do do the flyer for that concert.
So we were like, we're power pop. We're like the Knack on steroids, Cheap Trick. It was that type of music, and we had background vocals and everything. But our booking agent booked metal acts. Yeah. So we're getting booked into all these metal clubs, and it's just not going over well.
Yeah, and metal fans.
Not really the right crowd.
I was going to say, and depending on which level of metal fan you get, you could be in a bad way. You start getting like Slayer
in Duluth,
fans.
We actually had one of those Blues Brothers beer against the screen kind of experiences. Like it was like but we had enough heavy in our backgrounds. A bunch of us had played in hard rock bands, and so we generally won the crowd over by the end because we were pretty over the top with what we did. But we got to Ohio, and we had this period of about a week where we didn't have any gigs booked. And through word of mouth, we ended up doing our first gig was in Canton, and it was like the next thing you know, we're in Columbus and Cleveland and Akron, and so we ended up doing a whole week, and there were people that were literally following us from one city to the next because they really liked our music. And Ohio was just this huge. There were real music fans there.
That's weird because you guys didn't play country, and I thought that's all Ohio liked. But yeah, because I'll tell you, nothing does better in our area than country music.
Really? Wow.
Huge country music.
The rock stations are dwindling. It's all R&B and country anymore, it seems like, and sports radio.
Right.
Wow.
Like, if you want to find, like, rock music, there's some...
it's classic rock.
Right.
You can't find anything new.
Yeah. Like, most of the rock bands and stuff aren't as much from this area as a little bit north, like past Detroit and stuff, where that kind of punk scene has kind of still flourished a little bit, and stuff like that. So, yeah. Or up in, I guess, near Grand Rapids, where, our pals in Murder Party play, so...
Yeah. Getting a Character podcast. Check those guys out.
Yep.
Yeah. I love the Swellers.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It was a cool interview, and then checking out the spin-offs. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. And Jono's a funny dude too. Like I follow him on a variety of stuff, and he's a guy that seems to really have fun with his life. His brother is the lead singer of the Swellers. Has gone more into like personal training and like working out. I mean, he's like shredded now.
The whole wrestler thing just blew me away.
That too, and he submitted to
it just blew me away.
Yeah.
Like Tony, would you ever do that? I mean, you're a big dude.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
I have zero interest in
well,
that.
also
in
fairness, Nick is like 20. What is he? 28, something like that. So he is a few years younger than.
Yeah.
If I was in his shape and that age, I would probably go after
do it.
Yeah,
okay.
I would do it. Sure.
I mean, maybe because I didn't really get really into fitness until my 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe if I was younger, when it's easier.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And plus, I think he went through some wrestling school training before. Like at one point, I think like the whole band did actually. Like I think all the Swellers went through like.
I think I remember, hearing about that.
Yeah, so
there was that crossover.
Yeah,
doesn't every young man have a dream of going to the squared circle with your music playing?
Oh, for sure, right? That's it. Walking out the even if it's down in Orlando at NXT, the minor leagues for WWE or whatever, you come walking out, your music hits, there's thousands of people going crazy. It's like I said, I told you earlier, remember when I said I would like the whole, musician thing has always appealed to me, even though I have horrible anxiety. I would love, like, I want that. There's nothing as an artist that I can really do. Like, I can never have someone, like, sing my art, like, someone can paint my art in front of me, but it doesn't mean the same to me as, like, if I wrote a song and someone sang it back to me. Like, that's kind of a whole different vibe that you just can't get as a fine artist, So, yeah, that's...
And
yeah,
yet
the wrestling thing is bizarre.
Yeah.
It really, we did it in high school, like at our lunch breaks. We had these railings, and we're just dropping on each other off the railings and everything. And,
right?
I mean, like seriously, just beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
And then find out, like, oh, you mean they don't actually? Well, there's ways to avoid hurting each other.
Right. It's like they still get hurt, but yeah. I mean, you see it. It's one of the things I did and I didn't like. A few years ago, they started pulling the curtain back a little more. On real injuries and stuff like that. Because, they always used to have guys, he's beat so bad, he's going to be gone for a while, and the guy just needs a vacation, He's going and most of the time what it was is there would be a legitimate injury, and the guy would have to have surgery and be off TV for a few months, so he gets mauled by whoever the big villain is at the time, and that sets a story up for the comeback, Yeah. I mean, even though he's been there for years. You knew I was going to. But like I was just watching NXT last night, and they showed Sami Zayn, who's one of their bigger names, and he hurt his shoulder. Like, he got called up to WWE, and he does this thing where he kind of just pumps the crowd up, and he throws his arms up wildly when he does it. And when he did, he mildly dislocated his shoulder. So he finishes his match with John Cena, goes through and does this other match that was a big-time, pay-per-view kind of match. And now he's got to have surgery. He's going to be, and they found out he had like a partially torn rotator cuff from a while, so he's going to be on the shelf for a while. But it's like, I like that they show people even the dumbest things. These guys are in amazing shape, but even the dumbest things you can tear a shoulder,
Yeah.
So
was it you guys that were talking about there's some musician that's going and getting involved with the management of WWE?
Billy Corgan actually is
with TNA. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, they brought him on as a creative consultant because they're a sinking ship.
Yeah.
But I know he owned like his own wrestling promotion in Chicago for a while.
See, this I did so I was reading, I don't know if you know who Husker Du is.
Yeah.
They're a punk band from the 80s, right?
Yep.
So Bob Mould, who was one of the singers of Husker Du and went on, he was Sugar, and now he's been his own Bob Mould guy forever. And he worked, I was reading his book, and he had worked for the WWE for 5 years.
Oh, really?
And he had been this huge wrestling fan, growing up through the 70s and everything. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize there was this connection with musicians. And
right? Well, then, I didn't know that. Like with the Swellers, I knew they're all huge wrestling geeks. Because again, when we saw him in Toledo, Anto, the bass player, I believe, of the band, he had the
amazing Bret Hart coat.
He's got the most amazing Bret the Hitman Hart jacket. On the inside of it, it's got his stats. It's the greatest thing ever.
Wow.
So, they're all huge wrestling nerds. And, like I said, when we were talking with him and he started telling us those stories about, the different wrestlers hooking him up with seats and stuff, and I'm like, that's freaking amazing, Or Jono actually just posted a column the other day that he wrote about he got to hang out with Kyle Kinane, who's a fairly well-known comedian.
Yeah, voice of Comedy Central.
Right.
Yeah,
and as he's, it was on his Instagram, he's like, read about the night I hung out with Kyle Kinane, and I'm like, that's awesome, and then in the comments as I'm looking down, Jonah Ray makes multiple comments on it. Jonah Ray's a guy from The Nerdist,
Yeah.
So, and again, he's a fairly well-known guy, and it's just, it's amazing how, and it makes perfect sense because a lot of traveling, a lot of, road stuff, so it makes sense where your paths would cross.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comedians that open up for music acts, so it's cool and weird at the same time, but, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, man, must be nice, dude, living all the dreams.
So I'm going to go backwards.
Okay.
40 minutes.
We'll do that.
As a book reader.
Welcome to the podcast, Henno. Yeah.
What are you reading? And you have any interest in joining a book club?
Yeah, I've been hearing about this book club. How's that going?
We actually just started kicking things off really the past couple days.
First rule of book club is you don't talk about book club.
we got a list going. We got a Google Hangout going because apparently that's the thing now.
Sure.
And it is. There's all these
know.
secret Google Hangouts that
I guess.
you can be part
Yeah.
of.
You have to knock, the certain code and you get in.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mostly right now have been just because it just so happens that the authors that I read some fantasy, and so
erotic fantasy.
Authors, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What is there any other kind? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Actually.
Not for me, there isn't. I'm just asking.
Yeah. But I read that it just happens to be what's come down the line is some of my fantasy authors have released latest books or whatever it is. But because that was my main thing is I was a Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah.
Right
Yeah,
on.
and I still play. Yeah, so I read quite a bit of fantasy, and then it's just somebody hands me something or whatever, or a recommendation. So
they hand you Nazi paraphernalia. You're going to read it?
Oh, I've got a great story.
Oh,
Speaking of
First of all,
Nazis,
I love your enthusiasm on that segue.
exactly.
I don't think I've ever shared this really.
Perfect.
So, all right. So, like I said, here's my this is 1995. Okay. We're out on tour and we get to the East Coast. So we're in Manhattan for, I don't know, maybe 10 days or something. And we're supposed to play CBGBs and play, all these great clubs. I mean,
Cool.
Awesome opportunity.
Right.
And, our guitar player, his mother lives in Fort Lee, New Jersey. So right across the bridge from Manhattan, and we're going to stay there. And so we walk into this house, and it's like walking into my parents' house. It's German influence. It's
Sure.
this. I mean, it just felt the same.
Right.
Because my parents are from Estonia, and there was just this feel about it. And so Alex isn't really hanging around too much. And so John and I are there, and it's like we're home with Mom. Mom made us breakfast every morning. I mean, it was fantastic.
Right.
It was just this home experience, right? But Alex wasn't around too much, and so one day, and we hadn't met her current husband, whose name was Fritz. And one day we meet Fritz, and this dude was huge. I mean, he was just this big man. One of those people that you instantly call him sir.
Right.
You instantly go into respect mode, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so we're wandering through the house one day, and this door's open. And we open the door, and it was a bedroom that had nothing but bookcases. They were actually just metal, like storage frames.
Yeah.
There were, it has to be in the thousands of books in this room, just floor to ceiling, rows all around the walls, everything. And everything had to do with Nazis and World War II. And it was all sides. It was every book on Jews and Judaism and Hitler. And it was just freaking creepy.
Wow.
And it was like
Channel Archives.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, because, you wouldn't... Normally, if you think something like that, you wouldn't think it would have stuff from all sides. Normally, people who have books from that have one side or the other.
A man named Fritz has all sides.
And it was an honest-to-goodness study of
Right.
Nazi Germany.
Wow.
And everything, it was unreal. And then, and so then now started to realize why Alex wasn't around much, because you've got the punk musician he had literally had tattoos on his face kind of stuff, not probably a big,
Yeah.
You
Fritz
didn't
and
get
him.
up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, and Fritz is marching around the house like an apt pupil.
Right. Yeah.
So that actually happened.
Damn it, spoilers.
Spoilers. Thanks for ruining the story, Tony. No.
Yeah. So Alex comes home one night, like really late, and walks in, and there's Fritz. And Fritz had it. And Alex made some offhand snide comment, and Fritz put him in the hospital.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was like,
Fritz isn't fucking around.
no, like jaw wired shut, the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was heavy. And the hard part about it is I was like, yes, somebody finally did it. God, when people are just like evil geniuses and they just mess with you, he literally had, when the band wasn't getting along too well. So we had a van with all the gear, and we had another car. Our gear was over the top gear, so we didn't have enough. There was so much gear that we couldn't like sleep in it like most guys do,
Right.
and everyone's together in
Sure.
the thing. So we had a separate car, and so John, our singer, and Eddie, our drummer, drove in the car, and I drove the van, and I had Alex next to me, and Alex would read the same self-help book over and over again and highlight it over, and it wasn't that big, it was small, and one day I kept the money, and he kept a separate set of books in this notebook. And so one day we're at a hotel, and I'd gotten a little off with my numbers, and I'm like, oh, I got to check what Alex has got. And I start opening it up, and it is page after page of little mantras that he was writing over and over and over again, like,
Wow.
I will get a record deal. I will get the record deal. I will get the record deal. I will be famous. I will be famous. And I was like,
Fuck Fritz. Fuck Fritz.
Right, yeah.
yeah, seriously. But it was like, it was just crazy. And he was one of those guys that would like try to manipulate you to get you fired up. Like he just had that brain thing, and he's gone on to be successful he's in England now. I'm leaving the U.S. And he's gone, and I admire him because he's
of his own power, or because the police chased him out,
yeah, no.
or Fritz was after him.
Well, do you guys remember the guest VJ thing that they did for the summer on MTV?
Yeah,
and there was a kid named Jesse Camp.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, actually,
So
I do.
So Jesse was this kind of tall, lanky little kid, and he had this, hey man, it's Jesse Camp,
Yeah.
and he's super into the hair metal and all that. Well, MTV decided that this guy was going to make a ton of money, and they spent $1 million on a recording deal for him, and it was going to be called like Jesse and the Kids or something like that.
That sounds like something from Full House. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they were down in L.A. and so they get a hold of all these L.A. musicians, and so Alex was down in L.A. and the man's a genius. He started a psychic hotline.
Wow.
And people actually called this. Most of the people that called it, they just wanted to talk to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And Alex is just a dude. He has no.
Right.
It's a total scam.
Right.
But he said that most of the people were just lonely, and they just wanted somebody to talk to.
Right.
And so they call and spend the $1.99 a minute or whatever. So Alex, like I said, he was in he had been a successful musician. He'd been in a signed act, so he knew how to write music. He was really good. And so they called him to help write the songs for Jesse. And they wrote the album, and somewhere in there, Alex was like, this thing is going to tank so bad. We have to sell the publishing.
There's nothing worse than knowing you need a courtesy flush partway through.
And so and everyone else was convinced that this is the next greatest thing. And Alex is like, no, this is going to bomb. We need to sell our publishing rights now. To sell it to the record company, because they could possibly get $30,000 a piece if they sold the publishing.
Sure.
It was a significant amount of money.
Right, whereas if it tanks, it's worthless. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was just, literally door to door begging people, I will suck you off, whatever it takes, And he would. I'm firmly convinced that he would he would kill himself for pop, for popularity.
Wow.
But he took the money and ran. The unfortunate thing is he also took the name of the band that he was putting together with our buddy Eddie and all the ideas, and went to England and started his own band under that name. And it was kind of dirty, but hey, he's touring, he's making a living off of it. I have to, he's got to be over 50 now, and he's still doing it. And I go, hey, you're still doing rock and roll. What can I say?
Yeah,
Although
right.
he did, this is great. So the man knows his publicity. He was here he is in jolly old England. Gets a van, bullhorn, buck naked, standing on the top of it, going down the road. The bullhorn, yelling stuff.
That's not how it was done in Teen Wolf. He's not the version I saw.
I have to give it to him.
Yeah. That'll get you publicity for sure. Yeah.
I don't
Get your
think
name
Fritz
out
would
there.
approve.
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't think Fritz would be on board for that one.
Boy, did I just segue. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil, you think you can hijack a show? Come on.
Right? It's only fair, because if we go on another show, we hijack it, so it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
A-OK.
Yeah.
So what are the discussions going on in the book club?
Not much, really. We're just bullshitting in Hangouts. we're acquiring a list of books, and we're going to figure out which book we're going to read, and then we'll go from there.
And then what are you going to do with it?
Part of me was kind of like, well, we get everybody on, we can have a hangout, we can record it and put it up. But I was like, or I could just talk to these people like I'm a human being and not have to put content out constantly.
Yeah.
And it's just fun chatting with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
It is an interesting line, though, that once you start down this path because
my initial thought was, a new thing to put under the salty language umbrella.
Yeah, right?
Right? That's like
language book club.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, see, we're not completely savages.
It's like, or it'd just be nice just to get a group of people together and discuss something and not have to record everything.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's such a fine line because sometimes something like this will happen and you'll be like, people might be interested in that. And then you have to kind of, weigh it. And then the other point is, like I said earlier, it's whatever you put out as a new podcast or whatever, with that comes the promotion of it, the work of it, of, all that. Yeah. And is it worth it for this one? Or, it's,
that silly 14 by 1400 graphic that you have to have.
Tell me about
it. iTunes.
I still need to get that done for the other show.
Damn, Brian.
I still don't have a logo for the enthusiasts.
Just black background, white font.
I know, right? It's on my to-do list. It's right there next to Henno's album. We'll get done about the same time.
I deserve that. It's really bad. I mean, it's really bad.
I would assume most musicians have something like that, though, like a lot of unfinished files and stuff, or like something you start.
Procrastinator. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like I almost think it's like I'm doing it on purpose.
Yeah. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
You're like I know this album's terrible. I'm just no.
I just want to be an asshole,
Yeah.
And so I have my people, my coaches, the people, close mouth trusted friends that I have, and I'll talk to them. They're like, well, would they be upset with you if it never happens? And I'm like, no, but I feel like this is my commitment. And I think that's what goes back to, like, when you start doing podcasts, all of a sudden everything becomes a podcast idea.
Right.
Well, those are all commitments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time commitment and a money commitment and a tech commitment and all this stuff.
Yeah. That's why I said it's, anybody who wants to do this, like, when Kevin Smith on his shows and stuff is like, anybody can do this. It's blah, blah. It's like, except not everybody has a team of friends that's going to do all the publicity and stuff for you.
Right.
Or not he does his own publicity, but you know what I mean? He has someone who does the website. He has someone who does this. It's not just him doing it.
Everybody has a sweet pile of money behind it.
And,
will I go up in flames if I just say that I think he's a self-centered douchebag?
No. No, you won't, actually. I've actually, my thoughts on him have shifted a lot over the years. So, because I used to be, like, a huge fan and stuff, but I don't know. I mean,
I like his movies, but I've never listened, unless it's through other people listening to it. I've never sat down and listened to any of his podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't really?
No,
I have. I've listened to plenty, but I just don't.
It's not for me.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just my taste have changed or something's changed there, but I just don't. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not enamored with him anymore like I used to be. I used to think he was all that kind of a thing, and then maybe part of it was that once I started podcasting, I was like, really, anybody can do this, like, and it's like if I had a built-in audience, we'd be making, we'd have our own podcast network, with 30 shows and making actual monies off of it and such. So I don't know,
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge anybody anything. I mean, hey, go get it if you can get it. But
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I don't think his writing's all that great. I just, he's fine. Like I said, as a podcaster, a lot of us owe him some level of gratitude because he probably for a long time there brought more attention to podcasting than anyone else did. I'll give him that. So and I do love his early movies. So that hasn't changed. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I'm with you though. A lot of his stuff does come across very self-centered and stuff as time's gone on, especially to me.
Well, he was having his little anniversary for Clerks, and so he did a couple podcasts where he went through his journals that he kept, which I think is amazing that he kept those journals.
Yeah.
But after a while, I was like, wow, this guy just loves, he's looking at himself. I appreciated the looking at myself at a different time and commenting on it.
Oh, definitely.
I thought it was interesting content.
Yeah.
But I was like, how much can you talk about yourself in this pivotal moment? I mean, I like I said, I
Right.
get it, and then there's the whole weed factor. I'm just kind of,
I'll say this. I don't have a problem with anybody smoking weed. I really don't
Nope.
care. None
Me
at all.
neither.
But I honestly think that from the point that he openly started, all of his creativity and quality has gone way down.
Right.
And that's actually where I stopped listening to his podcast, because he used to get on giggle fits, and he would just giggle for, like, his show would be 2 hours with him and Mosier, and I love Mosier. I'd rather listen to Mosier. Like, I actually got to where I was listening to, what was that show? It was Mosier and, I can't think of his name, one of the guys from the Nerdist.
Oh, it was Phoebe.
Phoebe was the podcast.
4 eyes and a beard or
Yeah,
whatever.
and I actually liked that show better because you didn't have Kevin Smith giggling about the dumbest shit. And I'm like, dude, if I was smoking it right along with you, I'd probably be laughing at this stuff like it's hilarious, but I'm not high, and it's not that funny. Like,
well, I love to see. I would rather have a giggle fit listening to you guys.
yeah.
Because you're honestly riffing.
Yeah,
You're doing your
right.
show and you're riffing and you're laughing, and you're laughing based on this. I mean, you have a rapport from your friendship that just goes so far back,
Yeah.
and you bring us with you. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times at work. So I got my little Bluetooth in, and I'm usually listening on the Bluetooth, and I'll be sitting there walking through the parking lot, and on the property I work at, there's a health club. So we've got a lot of people going in and out of the health club, and all of a sudden I will just lose it completely, and there's just people like right next to me, and they're just like, all of a sudden I get these looks. And I just start to laugh hysterically, and I have to go like hide.
Yeah. My favorite is when we've had people tell us something along that line and be like, yeah, and then people want to know what's so funny, and it's like, because the topic will be something
Sometimes
really
the
awful.
content.
Yeah.
Does Odin's unkept pubis mean anything to you?
Yeah. Does that tickle your
Does
fancy?
Does that tickle your third beard?
Yeah.
No, went over your head. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Like, actually, and like tear off their pants and
Oh, God.
Here, let me take a picture of that real quick.
yeah, and
Looks like He-Man.
real quick, I want to go back. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm dumping all over Kevin Smith. I'm just. This is kind of where I got with him, and I found that I've done that with a lot of people, though. Like I've, as I've recently said about, like, when Joss Whedon left Twitter, and I'm like, meh, good riddance. I'm not a big Joss Whedon fan. I openly will be like, I appreciate what Stan Lee's done for people, but meh, let it go.
Yeah, we can respect other people's endeavors and what they do and who they are and what they've accomplished, and I can still not like it.
Right?
It's not,
Yeah.
That's the thing that I really have a hard time with is this idea like, oh, I can't, I can't not like something. That's one thing I love about being on Moving the Needle. We can not like stuff.
Yeah.
And no one's going to go this, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. What? Oh, it's none of that.
You wait until I get on that show, and I'll that's all I'm going to do. Anything you don't like, I'm going to be like, you son of a bitch. How dare you, sir?
We need to make that happen.
No, I think that was.
I'm not.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm not going to, I'm kind of spouting my opinion a little bit just because it's just, it's fun and free
Right.
form. I try to, well, as you can tell, I try not to, on my Angela's Awesome podcast, I'm generally pretty uplifting and non-judgmental with things.
It seems like, well, and you should be. It's like I said, it's, it made me laugh actually on the recording me and Jen just did for Crazy Life. At one point, she's like, you can go catch the, was it the lighter side of Bryan over at Salty Language? And I just started laughing because I'm like, she's right, but at the same time, it's like, because we're talking depression and stuff on this one, so, it does make sense that I talk about it on Salty Language, but generally it's more in a making fun of things kind of way. But it's,
Right.
yeah, it's like, it's like you do know Sad Trombone is like my deal on that show, right?
It's your entrance music.
Right. Yeah, it is, too. That's all my interest in music would be in wrestling. Just sad trombone, and I just got my head down, my shoulders are slumped, and I just...
Sounds like a New Orleans jazz funeral.
Now I'd be way less upbeat.
That's true. Down tempo.
There you
New
go.
Orleans.
Yeah.
Jazz
I
funeral.
think they called it a dirge,
Yeah.
You are correct.
which is a great name, a word in and of itself. I'm picturing this whole thing.
Dirge,
You know,
Dirge
like-
sounds like a band from the 90s, doesn't it? Like an alternative rock
It
band,
does.
you know?
Yeah.
If not, you should start it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to
You know,
exist. It just feels like a band that has to.
Macho Man through time. He can go back and discover dirge.
Macho Man discovers grunge music. Nice.
Well, what I love about this is because you're talking about how, like, you know, who doesn't want to be the rock star walking on stage? Who doesn't want to be the wrestler that, you know, comes through the curtain and the crowd goes wild? And I'm just imagining Brian rips through the curtain. It's finally his dream, and wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah.
I just barely poke my head through the curtain, and everyone's like, "Ah!" The pyros are going off, and I'm just like a frightened child and run backwards. I don't show up for my match. It's for the title somehow, and I'm like, then it shows me in the locker room, sitting there. I'm like, what's the point? I wasn't going to win anyway.
You just have this whole persona, this whole wrestling persona.
Like, I never lose, but I always feel, like somehow I win, where the guy gets counted out.
Yes, somehow.
Yeah, I never win by pinfall. It's never a clean
No,
win.
no.
It's
Just
just
circumstances.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
it
not
just so
cheating.
happens that
Yeah,
the other guy got hurt, or
Yeah.
had to go backstage.
right.
You know.
He gets jumped on the way to the ring.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Like, you're
I'm
almost
just like,
to the car. They're
Yeah.
following you with the camera. You're like, you know, where are you going? I can't do it. I can't do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but you've already won.
right?
They forfeited.
You're the number one contender. Like I don't know why. I don't deserve it. I just
It's a whole new wrestling angle.
right.
You know.
I just need, someone who wants to be a wrestling visionary to allow this to happen. And my physique will stay the same. I'm not going to get in shape.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm not wrestling. So,
No,
Yeah.
because my matches never actually happen.
never happened.
Right. Although getting the title would be a little difficult because, you can't generally get the title. Well, it'd have to be a no DQ match or something. Because, you got to have the rules blurred a little bit. Because, like I said, unless it's like the Homer Simpson thing where he just lets the guy tire himself out by punching him and then he just hits him once and then, that's the match. Or shoves him over. It doesn't even hit him. He just pushes him over.
It's an
Well,
effective
that's all-
strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole other angle there where the other guy can always accidentally trip, run into your fist,
Right.
knocks
Yeah.
himself out.
I'm bending over
know.
to tie my shoe. As I get up, I headbutt the guy and knock him out.
You
Because
knock him
my
off
head.
the ropes. He goes through the table.
Yeah. I
You
win
know.
the table match and the title. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo! I'm in a ladder match, and the thing that's holding the belt up above everybody gives somehow, and the belt drops down, and I just catch it.
Sounds like a Disney movie.
Right? The ref's just like,
I was going to say this being animated.
yeah. Yeah.
Tune in next week.
I go on like a 3-year run as champion. People are just so frustrated because how can this keep happening?
How does Delicioso keep
Right?
winning?
Yeah. I come out every week and people are booing me. And I'm like, I know. I don't get it.
Would your entrance video just be like Toys R Us, just full of your toys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stacks of Delicioso T-shirts.
Right. It's just,
unsold.
yeah, my t-shirt's just got me on it, just like shrugging like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy, guys.
Right?
Oh, the merchandising alone.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Ooh.
So
Yeah,
now I see how you guys do this stuff.
Right? Yeah. That's
Right?
That's how it happens. It
You
just,
guys just need
Exactly.
producers to take the ideas and run with them now.
right? That's what I keep saying. I was just having another conversation with someone last night about Hairstar. One of our greatest ideas ever.
Hairstar's strong.
Rock band, a new rock band's coming out. It's time.
Yep.
It's time. The kids want Hairstar.
Macho Through Time, though, is just that.
The best part about that is the whole, we're like, yeah, we're doing this. Tony
Hey,
put up like,
there is a Tumblr page.
yeah, Tony put
And
up
it's
a
got,
little
like
work.
3 posts on it.
That's
All
it.
right.
That's totally
It's
it.
out there now.
Yeah.
I did Photoshop Macho Man into just like some World War II photo.
Right. Yeah, because we have a few ideas that didn't get put up there that we talked about. So, yeah.
I mean, that has depth to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer Randy Macho Man Savage. You know,
it
rewriting
could be
time.
a really funny web series.
Oh, it's so good.
You
Yeah,
know?
well, and just the history alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just endless.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's time travel. It's great.
Yeah, except that I'm tired of time travel stories. So
Not with Macho Man.
Oh, jeez.
you're right. All right, fine. I'm back in.
Does that make you feel better?
Always. Always. All right. Well,
All right.
we should probably wrap this up a little bit here.
Yeah.
We've gone a little longer than we normally do, but that's perfectly okay. We're talking about my pro wrestling career.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of, I need to get my video together. Tough Enough still go. Oh, no, it's too late to submit. I'll have to wait till next year.
Your video's not quite tough enough.
Yeah. Oh. Dude, you know what, though? Like, looking at some of the videos that they've just shown on TV, some of these people, it's like, you've got to know you have no chance in hell. Like, they're just doing it for a laugh and stuff, but it's like some of they're still doing it, like, trying it as serious as possible. It's like, look at the roster. Does anyone look like you? There's probably a reason for that. No one's looked like me on WWE since, like, Bastion Booger, you know?
Here's another one, though.
New Shockmaster.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. You're right. I'll just trip through a wall.
Trip through a wall.
That'd be great.
This could be a lot of promotion for your guys' show, though.
It's true. It's true.
Because they love to show the ridiculous
Yeah.
ones.
I may have to do some indie circuit stuff first, you know? Maybe that's what I'll do for the next year. Just hit the indies, and then next year shoot for the
I got
the
a
big
side
time.
yard. We could put up some ropes.
It's fine, because the ring doesn't have to hold it for any action.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
I was just going to weed whack real low.
No, because there'd be cottonwoods everywhere, and I can't defeat cottonwoods.
That's true.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, man. All right, well.
We ended strong.
Yeah, we did. It's what we do. We always finish. No, we don't.
Sometimes we peter out.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
All right, Henno. So, where can the kids stalk you at if they'd like to stalk you? When they will.
So on the Twitters, Ida Henno. I'm at Ida Henno, and I did do a page on SoundCloud now. It's if you search for Monkey Tongue Productions,
Oh, nice.
you will find a SoundCloud page, and it is all the music that I have done for podcasts.
Oh, nice.
So and I put all your guys' logos on them and stole them, and so every song has the podcasts.
Now, did you take a picture of the logo, or you just outright steal it?
I just outright right-clicked, yeah. There's no alterations whatsoever, although that would have been funny.
You got to screenshot it first, you know?
Yeah, I'm not that creative. Yeah, screenshot and alteration.
Right.
But yeah, I have, you're the Ballad of Salty Language, the Dark Angels, and Pretty Free. I mean, everything. It's there. And so what I am going to do with that page is, even just talking to Angela today, I have done so much music for other people that they may or may not have ever used. That would make great background tracks if somebody wants to create a static, promo, or an intro for their show, and they just want some background music. And I was like, what the heck? I could throw it up there for download, and people can download it and that kind of stuff. So that's my latest little endeavor. And yeah, that's, my Moving the Needle, Angela's Awesome Podcast. If you're into health and fitness, I, super appreciate you, Tony, and your lovely wife. Your guys' support has been awesome.
We enjoyed the show.
Right.
Yeah, you were one of the first real feedbacks we had, and it's really meant a lot to us.
Whereas I was initially right out as soon as Tony said positive thinking. I was like, no.
I need to go back and find that episode, and I want to use that on a soundbite for Angela's Awesome Podcast, because it was one of the best exchanges ever.
Like when Tony's like, Angela's Awesome Podcast, if you're into positive thinking, and I'm like, I'm not.
Nope.
Nope.
And fitness, nope. Yeah.
I will say I do mean to listen to it because, regardless of other stuff, I do like to support people that I know and such, but I just haven't got there yet. Too many dick and fart jokes to listen to,
It's
that's
true.
it. When you got poop and cum, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Also a good name for a band.
Yes.
Separately or one name?
I think
Either
the
way.
Lo-Fi Show has the official lock on that one.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when Gotham season 2 starts, tune into Gotham Lights.
Yeah, are you guys doing anything in the meantime, or I know you said earlier you guys were doing like speculation on people in the show or whatever, but.
Yeah, we did. Like Stephanie was part of the Phoenix Comic-Con last weekend, so we just did a show this week where we talked about the speculation for season 2, and she talked about her con experience, and so right, we'll do that kind of stuff like as it comes up. You know, we were hoping to have Annalise on and do some guests and get their impressions of the show, because I do have actually a rather short list of people that love it.
Right. Tony and I would be perfect for the show.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be like, I like the logo. The typeface was nice. Are we done here?
Yeah.
I have wrestling matches to go in.
So I actually have people, and I have written down in the side notes where they quoted like one of the best shows on TV. I'm like, I need that guy.
Right? Well, you know, in fairness, I totally agree with that, because like different times, like I've heard different ones of us to where we're like I didn't know that many people that were like really loving the show, and I'm like, they have to be out there. Yeah, you know, you can't have that many people liking or watching a show, and it can't all be hate watching. You know, there's clearly got to be a real audience in there. You know, so it's like, we're the people that love this show, and those are the ones that'd be great for you to talk to, because maybe they can actually, it's just like, it's just a different twist on what most people seem to be saying on their podcast, because, you know, internet, anonymity, and snark all go together. So
it's true.
Yeah. hate. Welcome to Salted Language.
So yeah, that's what I got.
All right, awesome, sir. And again, thank you for the stuff you've done for us, and the laughs we've had off of that and whatnot. So we strongly appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, no, you're one of the first shows that I just instantly was like, boom, I love this. And it, once again, thanks to, Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks.
Right.
Everyone drink.
Yeah, I don't have a shaker, so
yeah, and actually, to give actual credit, the podcast networks.
Yeah,
that's where it was like, okay, Dark Angel and Pretty Freaks, what networks are they on? Okay, what other shows are on these networks? And that's how I found Salty Language and many of the others, and indie podcasting is just awesome. Yeah. I just love it, and I just love this, the interaction, and now to be on the shows, and I know we all talk about this over and over, but.
That is the best part, is the community.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. All the folks we've met through doing this that we would have never really ran into otherwise is pretty awesome.
Right. Yeah, it really is. And it's a broad spectrum, which is very cool. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of different likes and such through this network.
For sure. Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Those good times. We'll have to have you back again sometime, and
for sure.
We'll talk more about, Nazi paraphernalia trips through history with you, and we'll give an update on my wrestling career.
Perfect.
Maybe I'll be retired by then. We'll see. I don't know. So, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Enthusiast this.